Before we dive into tonight's Baltimore Butterfly session, I'd like to offer a brief land acknowledgement on behalf of the team here at Baltimore Center Stage. At BCS, we acknowledge that the land beneath us, this place, this community, owes its vitality to generations who have come before. Some were brought forcibly to this land, some came here in search of ownership or simply a better life, and some have lived and stewarded this land for countless generations. In a spirit of making erased histories visible, we acknowledge that we are standing on the ancestral and occupied lands of the Piscataway peoples. The Susquehannock, Lenape, and Lumbee peoples have also cared for this land. These peoples are not relics of the past, but they continue to steward this land today with care, vitality, and tradition. Their relations are numerous throughout Turtle Island, and they are continuing to grow. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and future. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events. Additionally, in the spirit of reconciliation, you can honor the indigenous peoples of this land by donating to Native American Lifelines, visiting or donating to the Baltimore American Indian Center and Heritage Museum, and supporting local indigenous artists. You can also visit our new Indigenous Art Gallery, which is right over here. The new Indigenous Art Gallery just opened last night, and it is a tangible reminder of Indigenous land rematriation, and that there are living, contemporary, amazing local Indigenous artists here in our community today, and I really do encourage you to check that out if you haven't already seen it. Check it out before you leave tonight.
And on behalf of everyone at Center Stage, I would like to welcome you to this season's first Baltimore Butterfly session. Yay! This is our fourth season presenting the Butterfly session. Is that true? Is it four? Oh, four. It's our fourth season. With a show of hands, how many of you have been to a session before? How many? Oh, wow. Yeah. Can we give everyone a hand for coming back? Yeah. And for those of you that is your first time with us, welcome. We're so glad to have you here. The Baltimore Butterfly Session is a civic dialogue series where we use art to catalyze conversation. So we're going to encourage you to share your thoughts with your neighbors. So if you haven't met them yet, we're going to take a moment to say, "Hi, neighbor," to everyone that's around us. Go ahead and do that now. Thank you so much for introducing yourself to new friends and friends of the past. This season's sessions are themed around proposed and enacted legislation of our home state of Maryland and nationally, including our topic of tonight, which is the Equity in Transportation Bill, which has been stewarded by our civic partner, the Baltimore Transit Equity Coalition. Let's give them a hand. Who not only passed that historic bill, but are currently engaging in a petition to campaign to adopt, I knew this was going to happen, an amendment to the Baltimore City Charter that will allow for the creation of the Baltimore Regional Transportation Authority. We'll hear more about the movement from our keynote speaker, Mr. Samuel Jordan, the president of the Baltimore Transit Equity Coalition, our artistic feature, Maya Wright, the nationally acclaimed slam poetry champion, and our musical guest, Scott Patterson of Afro House, will be helping us explore the themes of transit and locomotion tonight.
I was so caught up that I wasn't ready, because I'm supposed to make a train pun right now, which is, I hope you're all aboard for for an amazing evening. I'm so thrilled that Mr. Jordan and Maya and Scott are going to help us unpack this super important topic, and I'm just excited to learn tonight. So I'm going to join y'all in the audience, and Esterita is going to host the rest of the show this evening.
Yeah, that's true. So let's put our hands together and invite Scott Patterson back up. Woo!
everybody feeling tonight? We're gonna move tonight. I'm gonna sing about freedom. Freedom. In the promise of the day, the future is on its way, and on onward clouds comes the second coming of love. So baby, can we all believe that love will come around to save us? Can love save us? Oh, can love save us? If not love, then who will save us? So baby, let our love child provide us with the freedom days. But what is free? Can you tell me? It's freedom. Simply the need to be free. It's freedom. The need to not need to be free. I say what? Thank you.
Let's keep it going for Scott Patterson of Afro House. Can I get everyone to say love? One more time. Can I get everyone to say love? What about freedom? Thank y'all. Now I'd like to invite our artistic feature, Maya Wright, up to the stage. I'm going to read a little bit about Maya as she makes her way up. Maya is a poet out of Pittsburgh who has recently just relocated to Baltimore City. Maya has begun slamming in the summer of 2020 and in April of 2021 became one of the top 5 women poets in the world. Maya is currently an individual Southern Fried Slam poetry champion and making her #1 ranked slam poet in the nation currently. I know. And has just recently released her first poetry book, The Street Lights Are On, Poems for My Friends, called Home, and is preparing to release her second full-length poetry book, which you can purchase right over there at the end of the show. I know, right? How much is it, Maya? $15. Only $15. Yes, Slam Poetry friends. Please join me in welcoming the incomparable Maya Wright to the stage.
Hi, y'all. Y'all look really good. I want y'all to know I'm like sitting on an island over there by myself, so I couldn't see y'all, but y'all look good. Y'all knew y'all looked good when y'all stepped out? Okay, I like the confidence. Let's go. I just want to say a couple of words about my book, if that's all right. This book that I recently wrote is probably going to be one of the most important projects I've ever made in my life. I lost a couple of friends back home over the last year, and 100% of the profits for this book goes to their families to help raise their children. Yeah, that's all. Okay, I'm going to get into the poem. Fuck the marathon. I especially hate when it comes to my town. It makes no sense to shut down 29 city streets because a white family wants to run. During this event, I'm constantly rerouted back to my starting point because Andrew wants to jog around the block with a sense of safety that was foreign to Ahmad. At the height of the pandemic, 25-year-old Aubrey was fatally shot during a routine jog. See, this won't be the last time our blackness is interrupted by the white folk who run the world, but they don't care. They smile across finish lines, greeted by high fives, congratulations, and water by the gallon. The crowd is cheering for everyone, even the slowest runners. Do you know how rare it is for a participant not to finish their course? Their way is paved and police protected. Isn't it a blessing to always be guided to where you're going? To have your marathon be a marked path instead of a beaten one. This isn't a new concept. White folk have always called for the streets to be blocked off for runners. During the enslavement of African people, plantations were shut down as black hearts raced, and the parallels still leave me parched because we ran, but not in the same way white folk do know. They are greeted by gallons. We only had the drinking gourd, but still couldn't clutch it in our hands to quench the thirst of our day's journey. The police are present in both instances. At theirs for protection, at ours for patrol. On our path through the woods, there's no one rooting for us. Just deep-rooted hatred and weapons formed against finish line if we were caught. There'd be no high fives, just handcuffs, beatings, and brandings. The white folk then took away our only means for transportation and left us kunta. While today's Karen runs in kente joggers claiming to be an ally. We ran to keep from kicking the bucket. Now all across America, running in a marathon is on white bucket lists. It's like they know sport the way we know survival, and I swear it's all because we were never in the same race. I mean, how sick is it that they find a way to envy our lowest of moments, laugh like it's all good fun. They are proof that with enough whiteness, you can gentrify the danger out of anything. Poem. Thank you.
Let's keep it going, yay! Thank you so much for sharing your artistry with us, Maya, and it is such an honor to have your talents here in Baltimore. Now I would like to invite up our volunteer readers. You know who you are. Don't worry, everyone. Our volunteers have already volunteered for the night, and they've enthusiastically consented. So if you guys want to start making your way to this podium, I see you. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah, look at. Hi, guys. Let's give them a round of applause. With this group of civic texts, you'll hear a little bit more about the context of the historic Equity in Transit Bill. We ready? Yeah, let's do it.
Hello, my name is Sarania Thamaraja, and I will be reading an excerpt of Baltimore Transit Equity Coalition Commemorates Continues to Fight for Red Line by Gabriel O'Donoghue, published by the Baltimore Beat. Rain or shine, build the red line, they chanted. The group is composed of members of the Baltimore Transit Equity Coalition, also known as the BTEC Nation. BTEC is a resolute, community-led organization advocating for equitable, reliable transit that improves quality of life and the environment, its website states. What do we want? Baltimore County Delegate Sheila Ruth, a Democrat, asked the marching crowd. The red line, they responded. When do we want it? Now. 8 years ago, Ruth added. They marched to commemorate the death of the Red Line light rail project planned to connect Baltimore east to west. The Republican governor, Larry Hogan, canceled in 2015. BTEC was born within hours of Hogan's announcement to cancel the Red Line. The group's president, Samuel Jordan, said in an interview in May, some of its members, including Jordan and Gail Briscoe, had been long-term followers of the project, Briscoe for over a decade.
Hello, my name is Jamie Verosco, and I will be reading an excerpt from the Baltimore Transit Equity Coalition press release entitled, Governor Moore with Transport Equity in Maryland, We Shall Lead the Nation. Baltimoreans celebrated the signing of the Transportation Equity Act of 2023. The Transportation Equity Act anticipates and prevents discrimination based on race, gender, income, and national origin. Going forward, any new transportation policy will require an objective and fair transit equity and cost-benefit analysis, in addition to active engagement of those communities which are most impacted by changes in transit policy, services, and programs, said Mr. Samuel Jordan, founder and president of BTEC. BTEC is also gathering petitions for an amendment to the Baltimore City Charter in the upcoming elections to allow for the creation of a Baltimore Regional Transportation Authority, BRTA, the foundation for a fair, modern, multimodal, comprehensive transit system for Central Maryland.
Hello, my name is Amy Bopp, and I will be reading an excerpt from Transit Equity and Environmental Health in Baltimore City. Case study results co-authored by Dr. Megan Latshaw of Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health and Mr. Samuel Jordan, president of the BTEC. Transit use can be driven by perception of safety, safety while waiting for a bus and safety while riding the bus. Safety is one of the most debated factors impacting transit-dependent users' travel behavior. With properly established safety metrics, local officials can measure their progress in establishing an equitable transit system. Continuous monitoring of safety performance data in transit can help address safety-related challenges and properly allocate resources. Through a long history of discriminatory mortgage lending, a practice known as redlining, people of color were limited in where they could live in the city. These communities were also the first to be uprooted and bulldozed for highways. This served to concentrate and displace transit equity and environmental health in Baltimore City communities of color over generations. Black communities are also more likely to be located near toxic waste sites, dumps, and other health hazards. Studies show that air quality on average is worse in Black neighborhoods, and Black people experience twice the health risk from air pollution than white people. This iterative process to destabilize and devalue Black communities continues to this day with unequal investment in infrastructure, including transit. One example of the disparity in transportation access is the Red Line.
That was literally one of the first times they said yes. Thank you for saying yes. And before we move on into another song by Scott Patterson, I just wanted to take a moment to introduce him properly. Scott Patterson is the co-founder and artistic director of Afro House, a Baltimore-based organization created to creating disruptive music culture. Through Afro House, Patterson leads a contemporary ensemble that creates symphonic performance art pieces. He, alongside his wife, Alicia, and their children, channels creation into art that disrupts the normative ideas about human beings and often pushing the limits of the art forms they use to create something revolutionary in the name of Afrofuturism. Let's give it up for Scott as he makes his way to the stage.
Everybody having a good time tonight? Yeah? I'm going to tell a story tonight, if you don't mind, about a people who knew how to fly. But these people, they flew everywhere. And flying wasn't just something, pastime for them, for fun. Because they could fly, they thrived in life. All their resources were in the sky, everything that they needed. Their natural place. But unfortunately, in the land where they lived, the powers that be decided that they would buy the sky. So the people, they got together. And they decided that no one can have the sky. Since that's the case, they had only one choice, and that was to go to space. Now say, if we fly, but you claim the sky, then we will take our race to space. And when through time we touch the sun and sing and dance, yeah, and levitate. Transport our minds and our souls beyond the brightest star and touch the soul on earth. You closed your mind, your heart, and your eyes. Now your fear won't let you levitate now and fly to space and join your race.
I am never not impressed by the way that you're able to play two keyboards at one time. I can't even look both ways at the same time. Let's give it up not only for Scott, who's here with us tonight, but also for Scott's family, who is here with us. Can we get extra loud for Alicia and the kids? They come to everything. They show up early. And we're just so grateful to have you as a part of our artist community. Now, I would like to invite up our keynote speaker, Mr. Samuel Jordan, president of Baltimore Transit Equity Coalition. Mr. Jordan, and I'm going to speak a little bit about him as he's coming up. Mr. Jordan founded Baltimore Transit Equity Coalition in 2016 to compete with the Baltimore Red Line Light Trail project, recovering its transformation economic benefits for Baltimore's metropolitan region, the African American and Hispanic and low-income communities, and the transit-dependent communities adversely affected by the cancellation of the project in 2015. More recently, Mr. Jordan has been a community resource in the Transportation and Climate Initiative. In this capacity, he represents BTEC, transit advocates, and their communities in shaping TIC's capped investment mechanisms and addressing the transportation route in disproportionately pollution-burdened frontline communities across the state. Currently, BTCE is leading the efforts in Baltimore to take the initial steps to a regional transport authority by amendment to the Baltimore Charter. BTCE ballot also access the campaign is attempting to supplant the structural racism in public transportation with structural change. If that wasn't enough, Mr. Jordan also co-authored with Megan Lanchon of Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Political Health, a study released in 2021, Transit Equity and Environmental Health in Baltimore City. The study is Baltimore's first transit equity analysis. It also identifies the communities most in need of investment to reduce pollution and address the adverse health impacts of pollution as well, which we heard a little bit of our civic text. And with that, I would love to invite you up to the podium. Can we get a round of applause while he moves towards us?
Good evening. Greetings. And thank you for this opportunity and occasion to initiate a working relationship between Baltimore's Center Stage and the Baltimore Transit Equity Coalition. We call it BTEC. I also want to let you know and introduce to me a long-time fighter for social justice, a co-founder of BTEC, Minister Glenn Smith. He's here with us now. We founded BTEC in 2015 as what we call then the Baltimore Red Line Title VI Initiative. We can talk about that a little later. I think I want to make my remarks and speak a little more quickly, but at the end of my remarks, which you might consider an introduction to a brief discussion of the Transportation Equity Act of 2023. I also thank you immensely here at the Baltimore Center Stage for your production of the timely conversation I had with my most excellent daughter, Issa Davis Jordan. Thank you so much again. I'm Samuel Jordan. I'm president of the Baltimore Transit Equity Coalition, BTEC. And BTEC applauds the Baltimore Butterfly Series at the Baltimore Center Stage. We are exceptionally proud that you will share with us a discussion of a most urgent matter. We will speak of the groundbreaking opportunity to realize a vision and future for public transportation in the city, the region, and the state. We are at a crossroads in the history and future of Baltimore. Yet, Baltimore can rank again among the leading cities of this nation if we take charge and stop trembling. Baltimore's history and mission are shaped by the role of structural racism in public transportation. Structural racism and white supremacy can be fought, as millions believe. But BTEC would have you believe that white supremacy and structural racism can be defeated, which only a few believe. To achieve our goals, however, we all must be resolute. Public transportation is a control instrument. It is a legacy of the period of enslavement. It controls mobility of the formerly enslaved and is racially conflicted wherever Black people live in this nation, and there are no exceptions. Former Governor Larry Hogan canceled the Red Line Light Rail project after he toured the uprising zone. He was on a supremacist roll. The cancellation of the Red Line project led him to decline acceptance of a $900 million grant from the Federal Transit Administration. Among his post-uprising decisions, the governor implemented a program of highways and road projects in rural areas of the state where his white base resides. Is it merely incidental that at least 4 of these projects were suspiciously proximate to Hogan Real Estate Company projects? Former Governor Hogan, in case you are not aware, is a master of self-enrichment at the public trough. Although Governor Hogan did not have to lift a finger to raise 1 penny of the $2.95 billion fund reserved for the Red Line, not 1 nickel of the $2.95 billion fund was ever spent in Baltimore. When taken together, we call his decisions aggressive, punitive reinforcements of the status quo. And we all know that for Black people, the status quo is always punitive. BTEC's history is a history of our path to recover what has been stolen from us and to ensure that it will never happen again. To recover what has been stolen, we advocate for and demand the completion of the Red Line Light Rail project. To ensure that will not happen again, we advocate for and are conducting a petition campaign to compel the City of Baltimore to take the first steps to creating a Baltimore Regional Transportation Authority, a BRTA. The BRTA eliminates the source of structural racism in public transportation through structural change. A regional authority provides the communities directly affected by transit policy the opportunity to participate in the formation of that policy. This has never happened in Maryland's history. With a new structure, members and leaders of communities most directly affected by transit policy will have, for the first time in Maryland's history, a role in developing and implementing policy. Even elected officials of the regional jurisdictions, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Arundel, Howard, and Harford counties, have not had entree to the MDOT MTA commandist model. A BRTA will permit us to achieve continuity and predictability in transportation policy making. There should be no build the Red Line under Governor O'Malley, then cancel the Red Line under Governor Hogan. A BRTA means that transit policy will not be completely dependent upon the occupant of the governor's mansion. Light rail transit has been the most robust generator of economic development for the last 8 decades in this country, and there is no competition. Without the Red Line Light Rail Transit project, the city and region today have a flatlined regional economy. Without the Red Line Light Rail Transit project, Baltimore and the region have experienced no significant improvement in transit equity or transit services for 8 years. Without the Red Line, Baltimore has not seen the transit-oriented development that follows rail. In the industry, the mantra is development follows rail, buses follow development. $3 to $6.5 billion in transit-oriented development was planned to be accommodated along the Red Line corridor. For context, the Purple Line from Bethesda to New Carrollton has attracted $12 billion in transit-oriented development. $12 billion, by the way, that has not abandoned the project despite the 4-year delay in construction. Like the Red Line, the Purple Line would have been completed in 2021. In addition to the $3 to $6.5 billion in transit-oriented development, the Red Line will also bring 10,000 jobs, dramatically reduce commute times, reliability and on-time performance, and 3,000 permanent jobs after construction. The Red Line will also bring improved equity and access to transit, but improved access to choice destinations, job centers, healthcare, education, recreation, and of course, family visits. To recover what has been stolen from us, we must devise a working relationship with our new governor. On the campaign trail, Governor Moore has pledged to recover the stolen Red Line project. Former Governor Hogan kept his campaign promise to cancel the Red Line. Will Governor Moore keep his to build the Red Line? We have anticipated this challenge. After 8 years of advocacy for completion of the Red Line, we offer a ground rule for all policymakers, including legislators and governmental leadership. That is, do not make statements about the Red Line Light Rail project without reference to independently verifiable data. Independently verifiable data is the best basis for public policy. The Red Line Light Rail Transit project has been approved and fully funded after being vetted by a rigorous process with the U.S. Department of Transportation, Federal Transit Administration, and Federal Highway Administration. The Red Line system alignment, any necessary environmental protections, estimates of ridership, reliability, commute times, travel distances, and system maintenance had to satisfy U.S. DOT regulatory requirements. The Red Line LRT, that's light rail transit, graduated and passed that test. We received what is called a record of decision, an ROD. That is the signal that we can begin to spend our $900 million federal contribution. More money is available when our progress is documented. Independently verifiable data is the best basis for public policy. For example, in September 2020, MDOT-MTA proposed to cut the transportation budget by imposing the full 20% cut on the core bus service with its 83% black ridership. Other modes got no cuts. The Seaport, Airport, State Highway Administration, MARC service with the 65 to 70% white ridership was targeted for only a modest 4 to 8% cuts, but those were to be temporary. The cuts in the core bus service were to be permanent. BTEC immediately leapt into the fray and demanded the cuts be rescinded because they were blatantly racist. The lack of verifiable data was the basis of our demand for recall of the budget cuts in the core bus service. It was evident that the cuts were racist and inequitable. We also applauded the role of the jurisdictional leaders because they demonstrated the unity, the solidarity that we must cultivate as the basis for a Baltimore Regional Transportation Authority, a BRTA. We will present verifiable data in our campaigns and encourage the Moore administration to do the same. For example, our study with Johns Hopkins University, referred to earlier, Transit Equity and Environmental Health in Baltimore City, published in September of 2021, is credible and has won much admiration because of our guiding principle. Confirmed data should guide the investments in public transportation, pollution reduction, and assessment of public health impacts from pollution. Since Governor Moore's inauguration, we have not seen the urgency we seek in the completion of the Red Line Light Rail project. That is, we have proposed that Governor Moore, in collaboration with the U.S. Department of Transportation, secure a full reevaluation of the Red Line Light Rail project and its final environmental impact statement, the FEIS. If changes have occurred along the Red Line Light Rail route, those changes can be addressed and resolved, leading to a second approval. We have been told by MTA officials that there are no physical barriers precluding the completion of the Red Line Light Rail project. BTEC has confirmed that there are no physical barriers precluding the completion of the Red Line Light Rail project. We have been told by MTA, however, that there are matters of modal choice and cost that are most important to resolve. Otherwise, instead of a Red Line Light Rail project, the project may well become a bus rapid transit project. Bus rapid transit, or BRT, has support in Baltimore. That support is most prevalent among residents who are concerned about the impact the Red Line Light Rail project may have on their homes, their private properties. We have also witnessed the conduct of MTA's round of open houses. 5 such opportunities for residents and those interested in the fates of the Red Line Light Rail project and public transportation in Baltimore's future have been conducted. MTA conducted 5 open houses, 4 of which were scheduled at 3 p.m. during the regular 9 to 5 work week, precisely a schedule that would not permit the bulk of the workforce to participate. BTEC advocates were present in each open house. What we witnessed can be characterized as MTA putting the thumb on the scale and tilting the preference for BRT or LRT toward a bus rapid transit system. As a participant in the first open house, I can report that I met at a table with 2 community attendees who were exchanging blatantly inaccurate information about the Red Line Light Rail project and the destruction of their homes and properties. They even repeated the myth that the Red Line Light Rail project would require appropriation of their homes and properties by eminent domain. These statements are incorrect. However, at the same table was an MTA staffer who made no effort to correct the apparently mistaken notions about the destructive impact of the Red Line Light Rail project. As a BTEC representative, I gladly intervened. The MTA staffer offered no constructive information but permitted the myth of a rapacious, destructive Red Line Light Rail project to persist. The format for the open houses was also suspect. That is, community attendees were to circumnavigate the meeting hall and review MTA information boards that featured charts, photographs, and bulletins. An MTA staffer was to assist each attendee who had questions or observations about the information and representations on the board. But the questions asked and the answers given could not be heard by all attendees. There were no forums, no assemblies that permitted the attendees to hear the same answers and hear the questions asked. Another issue was handled in similar dismissive fashion. There was a board that depicted development of the Red Line Light Rail right-of-way in Brewers Hill and Greektown. However, MTA did not indicate that the development that had occurred was not an obstacle to the completion of the Red Line Light Rail project, leaving the attendees to believe that there was obstructing development along the corridor, when in fact there are no physical barriers preventing the construction of the Red Line Light Rail project. At the War Memorial Open House, an MTA staff told a BTEC leader that a BRT system would be easier to fund. While it may be true that BRT buses at about $850,000 to $1 million sound less expensive than a $4 million LRT train car, there was no reference to the longitudinal cost of the project. A BRT bus will last for about 10 to 14 years. An LRT vehicle will last about 40, 45 years. In other words, there is no verifiable longitudinal cost advantage for BRT, with the just consideration of vehicular costs. There was no accounting for the fact that LRT carries at least twice the passenger load of BRT and requires fewer operational personnel. LRT is a better response to the dangers of climate change. This is a 90-degree day in the second week of September. And LRT is clearly the more effective generator of transit-oriented development. If you were asked to identify a Larry Hogan economic development success even remotely associated with the Baltimore Link bus dominant system, you would be scratching your head long after tonight's program ended. There are none. When one is told that the most important issue when choosing the mode for a transit project is the upfront cost of vehicles, you're being led to make a short-term decision on what should be a long-term strategy. Or as we see it, BRT is to LRT as expense is to investment. Let's fight over 50 cents when we could spend $1 and get $4 in return on our investment. Back to the matter of independently verifiable data. MTA has not conducted, in collaboration with the U.S. Department of Transportation, a rigorous cost engineering process, and we know that there is no rule of thumb for a BRT project. MTA is aware that in nearby Fairfax, Virginia, a 7-mile BRT project connecting Northern Virginia metro stations to a Richmond Highway bus depot will cost $937 million. There are always more factors to consider than the upfront cost of vehicles. Senators Cardin and Van Hollen inserted language in the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act that targeted Maryland for funds to begin the completion of the Red Line Light Rail project when Maryland decided to build a system that had a priority, as did other projects around the nation that were shovel-ready when the Trump administration was empowered. The infrastructure bill became law in November of 2021. For a full year, Larry Hogan had access to federal funds to correct his colossal error. He did not access them. He made no effort whatever to do so. In other words, Hogan made the modal choice, buses again. His school of transit policy is shared by those who resolve transit crises, particularly when significant numbers of people of color are among the ridership. Their philosophy, throw a bus at it and don't spend a penny more. That should be the clear demarcation between the Hogan administration and a more transit future. Baltimore and the region can build a more vibrant, inclusive, and profitable regional economy when a major economic contributor, public transportation, is well designed, planned, and constructed, when the most directly affected beneficiaries are given the most urgent consideration. As we have noted, when we have an underperforming public transit system, we can be sure that the economy is also underperforming. BTEC is engaged in other challenges that are also impacted by the quality and range of the public transportation system. We are among the founders of the Reconnecting Communities in West Baltimore Coalition. Minister Smith is our president. Its mission is to usher in a new period of recovery for the communities destroyed by the Highway to Nowhere, which is a section of the Red Line Light Rail Corridor. BTEC insists with the constituent community, organizations, and institutions that the community must be more than superficially involved in the planning and development process itself. The Baltimore City Department of Transportation has invited our coalition and the Reconnecting Communities in West Baltimore Coalition to begin the process of development planning and outreach. The communities along the Highway to Nowhere were devastated, then abandoned. Yes, there was a movement to halt the construction of the Highway to Nowhere, but afterwards the victors went back home. And we're now 50 years later addressing the Highway to Nowhere in a more responsible program of recovery and development. Another consideration BTEC has put on the governor's worksheet is how will the modal choice be decided? We have discussed deficiencies in the open house program. However, MTA plans to advise the governor on modal choice, BRT or LRT, in January of 2024. BTEC insists that the universe of opinion, informed and uninformed, must be greater than the opinions recorded during this open house exercise. Another round of open houses is planned for October, November. Our challenge is that such a limited universe of opinion is a dismissal of the opinions recorded and publicized by transit riders and those concerned about Baltimore's transit future over the past 7 years. We have reminded MTA that the rallies at the War Memorial in 2017, following the launch of the Baltimore Link, which greeted unknowing riders with changes in schedule, changes from one-seat commutes to transfer commutes, and increased commute times on the persistently unreliable bus-dominant transit system. The rallies at the War Memorial were labeled in the mainstream media as, quote, near riots, end quote. Over the last 6 years, there has been profound, lasting dissatisfaction with the performance of the Baltimore Link system. In fact, you might know that there is no major city in this nation whose public transportation system is anchored by a bus. Now, will the opinions of those riders and those who have complained and the stories they have recounted regarding their experience with the bus-dominant system? That's the question BTEC has put to MTA. MTA has said that in the majority of opinions, 70% of respondents would prefer a rail-anchored transit network. How will we know? With this challenge, you must join our demand and action to secure transparency in MTA's recommendation to the governor. His decision on modal choice is a generational decision. Will Baltimore be a modern city among the leading metropolitan areas in the nation and along the East Coast tier that offers a public transportation system anchored by light rail? Or will Baltimore languish in the economic and development abyss to which we have been sentenced by Governor Hogan? Thank you for your interest in helping us to declare our role and position in this current transportation crisis. I must urge each of you to go to BTEC's Facebook website pages where you'll find a letter writing campaign permitting you to send a letter directly to Governor Moore. Build a red line. Build a red line light rail transit system now. You will also find your path to our ballot access campaign, allowing registered Baltimore voters to join our drive to compel the City of Baltimore to take the first steps to creating a Baltimore Regional Transportation Authority, a BRTA, in order that we might take charge and stop trembling. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm back here. I'm so sorry. Hi. Sorry. Thank you so much, BTEC, for being here. We are so grateful for the work that you guys have been doing for our communities. I'm wondering if we can all do a collective thank you on 3. Does that sound cool? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much. Please make sure before you leave today to stop at BTEC's table. There is notice about the petition that they're running, as well as stopping on their Facebook and Instagram. Let's get the red line built. Today you can actually work on something. Now everyone, it's the time for the night where I ask our musical feature to come up and do one last song. I know, we're super excited for it. I'm a little bit sad, if you couldn't tell by my tonation, that this is ending, but it seemed like everyone is really excited. So Scott, I'm gonna have you come back up and join us for our final song.
I just want us to give one more round of applause for BTEC. So many of us are fighting for freedom, economic freedom, spiritual freedom, physical freedom. So this last song I'm going to do is a song entitled Freedom Day. Let's take the high road to Paradise Land. We'll walk there together, hand in hand. Yes, we will, my love, we'll go journey on and leave our old world behind. Heaven is here on earth for those who find the way into a life of peace. The Freedom Day, the Freedom Day, Freedom Day, Freedom Day, Freedom Day. We walked in the desert for 400 years, slaves to the pyramid scheme. We're bound together by chains of hate, but to die alone in this world is our fate. So take off my shackles and I'll run away into a nirvana, the new Freedom Day. Freedom Day, Freedom Day, Freedom Day, Freedom Day, yeah. Oh, say, oh, my destiny is to be free. We'll take the high road, you and me. Yes, we will, my love, will journey on, singing together our lover's song, that heaven is here on earth for those who find the way to a life of peace. The Freedom Day, Freedom Day, Freedom Day, Freedom Day, Freedom Day. And inside, you cannot hide when you found the way to the Freedom Day. And inside, you cannot hide, no, you found the way to the Freedom Day, new Freedom Day. The Freedom Day, yeah, Freedom Day, yeah, yeah. Thank you. Shout out to Sis Maya with the poetry. Thank you. BTEC, thank you. Thank you for your work. And thank you, Center Stage, for bringing us here. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
And that's all for tonight, everyone. Woo, that mic was hot. Thank you all for being here, for listening and singing and witnessing these stories. I do want to mention our next butterfly session of the season will be right here on Friday, November 10th, with a keynote from Leaders of a Beautiful Struggle, and we will be talking about the Reparations Commission that just got passed out here. Yes. It's you now.
Oh, it's me now. We also wanted to mention that we have a show that is here in this building that will start previews next week. It is called Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill. Yeah, thank you. And you can get tickets to that on our website at centerstage.org. Please check that out. It's running through the end of November into early October. We are going to be welcoming Little Amal, who is a 12-foot tall Syrian refugee puppet. There's some pictures of her over on these screens. She will be in Baltimore next weekend on the 15th and 16th. We would love if you would join us at the Love Groove Festival next Saturday, the 16th. Little Amal will be arriving at the Love Groove Festival at 4:30 p.m. Right on. We'll see you there. And that is a free festival. There will be music. There will be visual arts. There will be lots of puppets. So please join us. That'll be at the Robert C. Marshall Rec Center Park. Again, that's next Saturday, the 16th, and it's an all-day festival. And then those were all the things. So please check out our website. Again, that's centerstage.org. We are doing so many things here at Baltimore Center Stage, and we would just really love to see you all back here again or out in the community at all of the places that we'll be at as well.
And you're more than welcome, as we end this program, to stick around here, talk to your neighbors, talk about where your transit is in this community, as well as sticking around to sign the petition, see the Indigenous Art Gallery, even buy one of Maya's books. They're only $15. Thank you so much again for coming out to tonight's Baltimore Butterfly Session. We hope that you came for the community, you stayed for the conversation, and you leave with a deeper connection to Charm City. Thank you all. Have a great night.